Hey, Good News Church. So I want to bring you another encouragement today. And this encouragement comes from John chapter 20. In John chapter 20, we read about Jesus' resurrection, that he is risen again after his death on the cross. That not only has he died for our sins, but he is also risen to bring us new life. But that's not what I really want us to look at today. Because in John chapter 20, there are three different people or groups of people who encounter the risen Jesus. And what's interesting about the chapter is that for each of the encounters, for each of the different people, there is some internal struggle, there's some internal turmoil going on for each of them. The chapter kicks off with Mary, and Mary goes and seeks Jesus at the tomb. She's gone to the tomb to pay her respects, and she can't find Jesus there. And Mary is full of grief. Grief not only because her friend Jesus has been executed just a couple of days hence, but grief because she can't find the body and pay her respects in the way that she would want to. And Jesus encounters Mary in her grief. Then a bit later on in the chapter, we read of the disciples and their encounter with Jesus. And the disciples, when they meet with the risen Jesus, are locked in a room, and the turmoil that is amongst them is the turmoil of fear. They're afraid. The passage says that they were afraid because of what had happened to Jesus. They were wondering, if that's what's happened to Jesus, what's going to happen to us? Especially as Jesus has said something along those lines earlier in his ministry. And then towards the end of the chapter, we have Thomas. Thomas encounters the risen Jesus. And Thomas, he's full of doubt. You see, Thomas wasn't there when the other disciples met with Jesus earlier in the chapter, and they've told Thomas, they said, "Hey Thomas, we met Jesus," but he will not believe them. He says, "Unless I see it with my own eyes, unless I can touch him with my own hands, I'm not going to believe you." And he's full of doubt. And so here we have these three groups of people. Maybe you can identify with one or another of them, or maybe you have a different turmoil going on in your heart, in your mind. Maybe you can sympathize with the disciples. You're afraid. You're afraid of what's going on in the world with coronavirus and all that's happening. You're thinking, my goodness, when is this going to stop? You're fearful for your health, for a loved one's health. You don't know what's going to happen. Maybe that's you. Maybe you can identify with Mary. Maybe you're full of grief. Grief because perhaps someone you love, someone you've cared about has died. Perhaps because you've lost something that you care about, like your work or an income or something of that nature. And grief can be caused by all sorts of loss. Maybe you're like Thomas and you're doubting. You're saying, I just don't believe it. God, I can't believe it. Are you really here? Are you really in this? I'm struggling to believe. I'm struggling to have faith. Friends, we can be encouraged in this chapter because Jesus meets with each of these groups of people. And the first thing we notice is that Jesus doesn't wait for them to get themselves sorted before he encounters them. No, Jesus goes and meets them where they're at. And so Mary, he goes and meets with her in the garden. She is full of grief, but she encounters the risen Jesus. And for Mary, as we will see for the others who encounter the risen Jesus, there is transformation within them. For Mary, her grief is transformed and turned into mission as she is sent on a mission to go and tell others that Jesus has risen to life. Her grief is transformed to purpose and to mission. For the disciples, when they encounter the risen Jesus, their fear is transformed, we're told, into joy, into great joy. And let me tell you this, it is difficult to be joyful if you're afraid. And for Thomas, well, his doubt is turned into faith as he encounters the risen Jesus. And so, friends, let's be encouraged by this. Let's be encouraged that Jesus doesn't wait for us to get ourselves sorted before he will encounter us and meet with us. But let's look to encounter and meet with the living Jesus. Let's come to him as we are, come to him however we're feeling, however we're troubled, and trust that we will see transformation through an encounter with him. I hope that's been an encouragement to you guys. It's been to me, and I will look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye-bye. Hi, Sam Priest here. I hope you found that video really encouraging. If you did, why not share it with a friend or on social media so that others can be encouraged too. For more encouraging videos, you can check out the link at the bottom of the screen there, or you can subscribe to this channel by clicking just up here. For more information about Good News Church, there are links in the description below.